I started quahogging when I was 13, and I'm 30 today. I've been at it for 17 years, and I've been full-time for 10. I put myself through the fishery program at the University of Rhode Island while I was quahogging. When I graduated, I decided to make it my livelihood because there wasn't anything I enjoyed doing more.
I started quahogging when I was 14 years old. My dad used to always take me with him when I was a kid. When I was younger, I used to go on the boat with him when I was like 5, 6 years old. So, you know, kind of fell in love with it when I was young. I like being my own boss. You know, not being able to work in a cubicle or an office is awesome. Being outside every day, it's great.
I've been quahogging for about 5 years now. I saw how much money my brother Mike was making, so it got me interested in paying for college by working on the water.
The best part of my day is pretty easy. It's to steam out, watch the sun come up, going around the lighthouse, knowing that it could be a good day out there. You can make some money, and you never know what's ahead of you.
Hi, I'm Mike McGivney. I started quahogging back when I was going to URI. It was a great way to make extra money, the hours were great, and the money was good. But something happened along the way. I fell in love with quahogging. So after graduating, I started quahogging full-time, and 35 years later, I still love it. We're making this video because we want more people to enjoy shellfishing, to learn everything you need to know about it, soup to nuts. So my friends here are going to tell you all the different things you need to know if you want to make shellfishing your livelihood. To get started, you're going to need certain shellfish equipment. John's here to tell you what you need to get going.
Hi, I'm John. I'm a Rhode Island commercial shell fisherman. Have been one for some 35 years or so. I love the job. It's a lot of freedom. Narragansett Bay is one of the most beautiful bodies of water in the world. And it's just great out there being one with nature. These are some of the tools of the trade that you'll need if you want to quahog yourself. First and foremost, you have the bull rake. This is what catches the clams and makes you money. This is one right here. This is this particular version is called a pocketbook. These teeth are hard bottom length, that is, as opposed to soft bottom or mud, where you might want longer teeth. But this is an all-purpose rake. Some of the other types of rakes that we use are as follows. This one here is called a Madalena, after the Madalena brothers, who used to sell them out of East Greenwich. This is an all-purpose rake. It's the classic rake from 50 years ago about to right up till today. You can see that it's got a lead weight on the back to make it dig harder. This can work in any type of bottom depending on the tooth length. A rake that's specifically made for mud. I use this one in the winter management area in Greenwich Bay. Technically it's a bubble back Madalena. A shell rake. Now as you can see, this has the shank elevated a little bit so that the bottom bar, which is round in this case, can sweep away the shells, oyster shells or deckers or whatever you might have there that fills up the rake instead of the quahogs filling up the rake. This is a large suitcase. You can see the capacity. That can hold up to 70 pounds of clams if you fill it up. But this has a wide spacing on the tooth. That's 1.25 inch space, or 1.5 inch space actually on this one. A little more than traditionally was used years ago. But that's popular today. Another accessory that you might want to have in your arsenal of equipment is skids. These are different types of skids. These are flat skids right here, and these are round skids. Now the purpose of this is to keep the rake from digging too deep. You might want the rake not to dig too deep because the bottom's really hard and your teeth are too long. So if you drop these this way, it'll prevent the rake from over digging. Efficiency is what it's all about, and if you can be more efficient by being prevented from over digging, that's a good thing. So after you've successfully harvested a bucket or a bag of quahogs, you have to fill out a shellfish harvest tag, and that's going to have your name, your license number, the date, the location of the harvest, the area that it's harvested in, and also the time that it was harvested. So that way your shellfish are going to be ultra safe. They have to be sold within a short amount of time before the next day. Now that you're fully equipped, you're ready to go out onto the wilds of Narragansett Bay and start quahogging.
Picking out a boat is one of the most important decisions you'll be making. Here's Dave to explain all your options.
Hi, I'm Dave Gigliotti. I'm here on behalf of the Rhode Island Shellfishermen's Association, and we're going to look at some boats today. If you're just starting out into the business, this is a little how-to portion of our videos of the type of boat that you might be interested in and what would help you in your business. So basically, I have my stales on the outside of the boat. It gives me more room inside the boat. Stales are the pipes that we use to put the rake on so that we can get to fishing, okay? Now, a couple of things that are really kind of essential for a shell fishing boat. Pick tray. This is, we call this a tag line. We'll get into that a little bit later. And a rack, an undersized rack. Undersized, very important that they go back into the water. So basically how the boat is set up is, I have my workstation here and my pick tray here, and as I'm quahogging or shellfishing, the rake comes in, I dump it on the cull tray or the picking tray, and then I sort through, sort to size. This is very, very important. Very, very important piece of equipment, okay? This right here is a electric pot hauler, okay? When you're starting out quahogging, or shellfishing, it's not really necessary that you get one of these, but it does make life a whole lot simpler if you do have one. But again, for years and years and years, in the beginning of the business, when I got into it, we didn't use them, we didn't need them, but when they were okayed by the state to use them, it does make life simpler. Not necessary when you're first starting out though. So when you are getting into the business, one of the biggest concerns that you have is the configuration of the boat, size of the boat, and style of the boat. And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today. One of the things that you really want to make sure is the boat big enough to handle most types of weather. When you're starting in the business, a lot of times we all start with smaller boats and we get to a boat this size. This isn't necessarily the size that you would want to start with, but the way I have it here, after being so many years in the business, I have a full cabin so that in the winter time I can get out of the weather if I need to. It's a good place to store my shellfish out of the sun, which is very, very important, okay? And being we're on a very, very large bay, at times it can get kind of choppy out there. So in a boat this size, I feel that I'm about the safest in all 4 seasons. Basically, you want a boat that's somewhat open in design. Large deck space, you want a lot of deck space. And when you're looking at a boat, you really want to make sure that the deck is sound, the transom is sound, okay? And one of the biggest things that I advocate to people that are starting in the business is, if you don't know much about boats, hire a professional to come with you and look at the boat. Hire somebody, it's well worth every penny if you find a boat and have them come and take a look with you, because if you are making your livelihood out of this, you want to be as safe as possible. It's very, very important. It is commercial fishing, and it can be, at times, somewhat dangerous. You can minimize that risk if you're in a proper boat. So again, one of the biggest things that you want to consider when you're looking at a boat is the deck space, okay? You need enough room to work. It is a work boat, so you want to make sure that there's not a lot of clutter and a lot of seats. Again, that's why my stails, my poles are up on the side, okay? My pick tray is tucked up into that rear quarter, and that gives me enough room that when you start working, you're not tripping over things, and being on the water, you don't want things under your feet. So it gives me ample room for that type of activity. One of the things that you definitely want to look at when you're looking at a boat is how much clutter is in the way and the type of deck space. Very, very, very important when you're looking at a shellfish boat. Here's a great little starter boat. This is something that you may want to look at, this type of boat, when you are getting into the business. The reason I mention that is it's an older boat. It's got an open floor plan, so you can move the console where you would want to move it to give you more deck space in the center of the boat. Typically these boats go for very little money, and you can power it with small horsepower, which is another consideration when you're looking to get into the business. You don't want to overburden yourself with a big boat payment, so this is a great example of a starter boat right here. Okay, this console could come forward. You could build or have built a small lean-to so that you could get out of the weather a little bit. You have plenty of deck space here. Again, the motor, which we get into a little bit later on, is something completely different than the boat itself. But for this type of business, this boat would be a really good candidate. Okay, and if you're handy, a lot of times you can put a little bit of money into a boat like this and have it last for years and years. It would be a really good investment. Here's another great example of a Quahaug boat. She's a 19-foot Seahawk, and she's got a small cuddy cabin up in the bow. Now the reason this cuddy cabin is in the bow is that when it gets a little choppy out, he has a little bit better control over the boat. A lot of Quahaug boats or shellfish boats have the cabins in the stern, cabins like this one, but they're set back towards the motor. It provides a softer ride, but a lot of times if it gets very choppy out, the boat has trouble getting over the next set of waves. So this gentleman here, like myself, I have mine up in the bow. He prefers it in the bow. Little choppier ride, but provides a little bit more control over the rig. Again, he has a wide open floor space here. He doesn't have a pot hauler, okay? Again, not a necessary thing when you're starting out. It's just another expense that isn't necessary. And he's got a splash well in the stern of the boat, which provides extra protection for water coming in during a certain type of a sea. When it hits the motor, sometimes water will come into the boat, and that provides that the deck stays nice and dry. This is a very, very typical starter quahogging boat right here. 19 feet, powered by a 75 horse, very economical to run. He's got a protection for the 3 seasons, okay? And it's a very, very safe little boat. This is another great example of a starter boat. This was an older boat that was rehabbed. This gentleman took the floor out and he did a lot of work to it, and that's not necessary when you're beginning, but he went a little bit over and above. It's an older boat, but it was designed as a work boat. Okay, it's a fiberglass Midland. Now what he's done here, this is called a Dodger. This provides a little bit of protection for most of the year. In the winter time, it makes for a very cold ride. So for me, and for a lot of the guys that do it full time, this wouldn't be the optimum boat for us. But for beginning into the business and starting out, this is a great example of that. He's got a 70 horse Evinrude, which is super economical, and it basically runs on pennies. The whole operation. He's got the pot hauler here and the pick board. They're all combined as one, so that's really nice. He's got a wide open deck. That's great. And his stails or his poles are up on the side like mine. That gives him more room in the boat. And that's really important when you're outfitting your boat, that you want as much room as possible, because again, this is a work boat, so that you want to make sure that everything is laid out so that you're not tripping over anything. Safety-wise, this is very important because you don't want things around your feet as you're working. Okay, again, commercial fishing can be very dangerous. So you want to make sure that you minimize those risks by outfitting your boat correctly and laying it out correctly. Well, we've talked a little bit about boats today, but biggest thing that I really want to impress upon you is that if you're going to get into this business, you really need to take a safe boating course. It is so important that you know the rules of the roads out here, and there are rules, like those cans behind me. There's a way to pass boats, things of that nature. So you really, really want to make sure that when starting out in this new venture, that you're taking the utmost precautions of your safety and the people around you. The best possible places to go is the DEM, or to find out about safe boating courses, U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, U.S. Power Squadrons. Those types of places are a wealth of information, and they're more than happy to help you. But it's very, very important that before you even step foot on your new boat in your new career, that you make sure that you definitely get safe boating knowledge. So we talked a little bit about boats today and safety courses, and you've picked out your boat and you're ready to go out and your first time out. So basically we're going to turn it over to Jeff Grant here, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to do when you get out at your first day of quahogging, setting up your pipes, things like that. Good luck.
So the first thing you do when you get to where you're going to work is you bring your sails out, which we've already done. Now the amount of sails that you're going to use, it depends on the depth of the water. Here we're in about 16 feet of water, and as a general rule of thumb, you want to use about twice as much sail as the depth of water. And that's a good starting point. So you have lots of sails to cover lots of different depths of water. So once you get to your spot, you start setting up, and you're going to have like a main pipe. This is what this would be, and just pieces that go together. So you use your collar, and then insert your T-pipe, and a lot of these will have some play, so you can adjust to the depth that you're in, and just tighten down on a nut, and that will secure the T-stock in the main. Then you get your rake clamps. You usually use 2 of these to secure the rake to the main, and there's a hole right in the main pipe, as you can see there, and there's a little tab on the tang of the rake, and that tab goes in the hole, and you tighten down on your rake clamps. So now you're set up to go digging. So once you start getting ready to dig, you got your sails together. You tie a rope to the rake, and that can help you haul it up. Some people use a hauler, some people don't. Usually if you're starting out, you don't have one, but makes it a lot easier. Some people use a davit, this is a davit, so it helps haul it up. Some people just run the line right over the side of the boat. It's kind of a personal preference thing and what your boat's set up for. So once you got everything together, you throw the rake to the bottom. All right, now one of the most important things when you start digging is you got to make sure that the teeth are pointing down. So, and then it's just a back and forth, up and down motion. You can see the motion of the rake, and basically all you're doing is trying to coax the quahogs out of the bottom with the teeth and into the rake. So it's kind of a circular motion with a little bit more emphasis on the towards you, is how I would explain it. So there's a little more power in that motion. Everyone has a different style, and it's whatever works for you is the best way to do it. All right, now we're going to check and see what we got in the rake here. All right, now that we've pulled up, you need to sort your quahogs here. And some of this stuff here, like deckers and shells, we throw those back overboard. Rocks, can't sell those. We sort them into sizes. And generally, your bigger ones are your hogs. And you can separate these out, and they usually get weighed by the pound. Put those in a separate bucket. And then you got your top size quahogs, which is the middle size, like these here. And you can separate these out as well. And then the small ones, these are the ones you get paid the most money for, and we can put those in a different bucket. Some people just put their tops and necks together and pull out their bigs. It's whatever you want, but sorting them makes it a lot easier when you go to the dealer and a lot more efficient.
Now you spent the day out catching clams, Adam's going to show you how to take them to market.
I just unloaded all my Quahogs into the shop, so now what I'm going to do is put them up on the scale. I'm going to sort the little necks and the top necks, and it's going to count them for me. Then after that, I'm going to put my chowder Quahogs onto the scale to weigh them up, see how many pounds I have. So right now, I'm running my stuff down the machine, and it's sorting out the smaller ones and the bigger ones for me. It's counting them for me. That's how we get paid by the piece. As you can see, they're sorting them out at the bottom there, the different bags, the small bags, the bigger bags. How I get paid is after the machine sorts out the little necks, top necks, and the chowder Quahogs, I get an accurate count and I take it to the buyer, put it on a slip, and see how much it comes out to.
If you're going to go shell fishing, you're going to need a license. Here's Jeff to tell you how to get one.
So if you're thinking about going quahogging, the first thing you need to do is get a license. And there's a few ways to do that. If you're a student under the age of 23, you can get a student shellfish license, and that allows you 3 bushels in any open areas, and you can just get that over the counter from January 1st to June 30th. So there's that window you need to do it. You just go up to the Promenade Street DM headquarters and you bring some ID and a report card that shows that you're a full-time student, and they'll hand you a license. If you're not a student or you're older than 23, it's a little more complicated. There's a lottery system that they give out a certain limited number of licenses every year to people, or you can buy one from a commercial fisherman who's retiring or quitting. So there's some difficult regulations to deal with that, but either way you're going to get a CFL through the lottery that'll allow you 3 bushels as well. There's a complicated system of how you can upgrade to the next license, which would be 12 bushels, which is a full commercial license.
If you'd like to learn more about shell fishing, we have an apprenticeship program. We'll take you out on the boat and give you hands-on training to see if you love it. So please visit our website, rishellfisherman.org, to learn more about the apprenticeship program and things you need to know.
I've stayed with quahogging because, plain and simple, I love it. I love being on the water. Every day is a different day, you know. Every day is a new journey, and I mean, you're your own boss. I mean, I just can't ask for a better job. I'd have to say the hardest part of my day is unloading the Quahogs, dragging them up the ramp, and putting them in the truck and getting them to the shop in time.
It's very physical. It's a lot of upper body strength. Use your shoulders a lot. Well, you know, when you're digging, I don't use a hauler. So I just pull it up, and it's like, I'll be in the gym for 5 hours.
The hardest part of my day is being my own boss. You need to be self-motivated. Nobody's going to get you, and hold you accountable for what you do, but you need the self-motivation to be a good quahogger.